The NBA offseason hasn't even officially started yet, and the Sixers have been linked to multiple players about either signing them, trading for them, or re-signing players. So we want to talk about the top 5 options or targets that I think that they're going to go after, and also if it'll be a good decision or not. Let's get into it. What's going on, everybody? We back. Another episode of Off the Cliff Show, brought to you by 14th Market Podcast Network. Before we start the video, I need y'all to hit that like button. I need y'all to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. It helps me out. It supports me and helps with the algorithm, right? But like I said, the Sixers have been linked to so many players this offseason, and the offseason still hasn't begun yet, right? The finals still have to happen. But we've been getting a lot of news about who the Sixers may target, how they want to build the team around Joel Embiid, and they've been linked to some pretty high-profile players. And I definitely want to talk about the top 5 options that I think they're going to go after, targets that I think they're going to go after, and if it'll be a good decision or not, because some of these are like, I don't know if that's going to work out. But let's get into it. All right, number 5, Brandon Ingram. I'm coming off the bat. I don't like it. I hate it. I actually don't like it. I don't like Brandon Ingram as a player. The Sixers had came out. They said that Brandon Ingram would be their plan B if they could not sign any of the top targets that they wanted. I don't like it. Yes, Brandon Ingram does check some boxes that the Sixers need and have not had. He's a shot creating athletic wing, but I don't like the style of Brandon Ingram's play. He takes a lot of middies. He only takes, I think, about 2.5 threes per game, something like that. You also are going to have to take on his contract. He takes a lot of difficult shots, not because he's forced into them. It's just because those are the type of shots he takes. So it kind of reminds me a little bit of Tobias Harris. Yes, he is better than Tobias Harris, but it's going to be much of the same. He spaces the floor, but not what you would think. He's not a quick trigger type of guy. He kind of makes slow decisions. And like I said, he does force himself into a lot of difficult shots. I don't think that's a player that you exactly need around Joel Embiid. He doesn't really cut well. He's kind of like a black hole on offense, if you want to put it that way. I don't really like it. Really reminiscent of Tobias Harris, and we don't want another Tobias Harris here. And like I said, of course, they're going to have to take on his contract. Another big thing about this is they're actually going to have to trade for Brandon Ingram, so they won't be able to sign him. They're actually going to have to give up assets to acquire Brandon Ingram, which will deplete what they already have and is going to constrain them a little bit more about going out to get other players on the team to surround with Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. As we all know, that those are the only 2 players under contract for the Sixers right now. And I think they talked about re-signing Paul Reed, but they're going to have to fit an entire team around Joel and Tyrese, and giving up assets to trade for Brandon Ingram, who you don't know exactly will fit and kind of remind you a little bit of Tobias Harris. I just don't think that's a good decision. We watched him in the playoffs this year. He was getting absolutely strapped by Lou Dort. I don't want it. I don't need another player like that here. I don't like that decision. All right, number 4, Jimmy Butler. They've been talking about Jimmy Butler for a little bit of time now, repairing him with Joel Embiid. A report came out that the Sixers regretted letting Jimmy Butler walk out the door when there was time to sign him a max. We all know the story. Him saying Tobias Harris over me. They end up signing Tobias Harris when they could have kept everybody. I don't know what they were thinking, but now it's come out that they're going to try to get him back and actually trade for him. I don't like this at all because, one, Jimmy Butler is 35. He's injury prone. You're also going to have to give up assets for Jimmy Butler, and you're going to have to also sign him to a max extension because that is what he is looking for. I think the idea of Jimmy Butler is what has Sixers fans so enticed, and the Sixers so enticed. But like I said, 35 years old, injury prone. Yes, he brings that grit and that grind and that culture that you will want to have with the Philadelphia 76ers, but given a 35-year-old star, that type of max, I don't know if I like it. The fit, really, I don't really see the fit there. The spacing is kind of wonky because, like I said, same thing with Brandon Ingram. Jimmy Butler doesn't really shoot a lot of threes. He's not really a shot creator. It's like a weird thing with Jimmy, the way he creates his shots, but he's really off ball. He does cut well. There are some pluses to what Jimmy Butler will bring, but signing him to a max extension, giving up assets to acquire him when you can go acquire other players, just sign them without giving up any assets, is just, I don't think it's worth the risk. Like I said, you're adding another injury-prone star to a team with Joel Embiid, who you know is going to be out for multiple games. Now you're going to add Jimmy Butler, who you also know is going to be out for multiple games. I just don't see the continuity that they would need there. And you're also going to need these stars to be here for about 2 to 3 years, because that's when I think the Sixers have their window of championship contention as far as Joel Embiid's career. All right, number 3, Paul George. We're going to get a little bit on the optimistic side here. Paul George does check a lot of boxes that the Sixers would need. He's a shot creator, play initiator, plays defense. He's athletic. He shoots threes. He's able to work off ball. A lot of things that the Sixers need in a wing player. And I think that everybody will be on board with signing Paul George. Like I've said before, the only problem I think that I have with Paul George, and I think that all other Sixers fans have with Paul George, is signing him to a max contract. Another 35-year-old injury-prone player who you have to give a max extension to, that he's not willing to get, that the Clippers are not willing to offer him. Plus, he is also injury prone. So adding another injury prone player to Joel Embiid, I just don't think is a recipe for success. Yes, he fits all the boxes that you would need. He will fit perfectly around Joel Embiid. He fits perfectly around Tyrese Maxey. He is that third star that the Sixers have been looking for. But again, his age and offering him a max contract, I just don't think that the Sixers can do that at this time. You're looking to rebuild. You're looking to create a championship contender in order to win in the playoffs. You need a high-level playoff performer. I don't know if Paul George checks those boxes. He is a loser on the aspect of he has not put up like huge games in the playoffs. I have made the argument that if you get the games that you got from Paul George in these playoffs and you switch them with Tobias Harris, the Sixers win in that first round. They beat the Knicks. But do they beat the Pacers? Do they go on and go to the Eastern Conference Finals and play the Boston Celtics? I don't know if they can get that far just with Paul George and the roster that they already had. I don't know. But he would be a great addition to the Sixers. They would have flexibility. They would still have all their assets to possibly make another move. Maybe you go sign Paul George. I don't know if the money works, but maybe you go sign Paul George and then you're able to trade for Brandon Ingram. Again, I don't know if the money works, but you do have the ability and now to do something like that. You can go make other trades. You can go add to the roster instead of just depleting your assets and signing someone else to a max contract, to where you're like, all right, now what do we do now? They're like looking to scramble and find like minimum guys to bring in. So I do think Paul George is one of the better options here at number 3. All right, number 2, Zach LaVine. I know a lot of people during the season didn't want to exactly trade for Zach LaVine before the injury happened. I know the Sixers were linked to him. They didn't want to trade for Zach LaVine solely because of his contract. Some people didn't like his play. But I'm going to tell you right now, if the Sixers had Zach LaVine during this playoff run, they make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. He's able to shot create. He shoots a lot of threes. He's a play initiator. He's super athletic. We know all of that. He cuts well. He's able to work off Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. He's able to give Tyrese Maxey a blow when he's tired on offense. He's also able to let Joel Embiid take a step back on offense and mainly focus on defense, where Joel Embiid, like I've been saying before, can still be a hub for the offense, but now you have Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey working off ball. He lets you do all of that. But like I said, the contract is an issue there. But I think that it's not that big of a deal because he isn't old, but he isn't young at 30 years old. I do think he's in that right mindset, and he has the maturity of, okay, I'm going to do whatever it takes to win. I do think that he just hates Chicago right now. Well, not hates Chicago, but I just think he just needs to change the scenery. You add him with a coach in Nick Nurse, who is defense first. He'll be able to, as long as he buys into that philosophy, he plays. Even we've seen the leap that Tyrese Maxey took this year. We had 40-year-old Nico Batum playing great defense. Kelly Oubre, who's not known for defense, playing good defense. We have 4-year-old Kyle Lowry playing great defense. And these are in the playoffs. So imagine adding a player like Zach LaVine, who's still athletic, not exactly old. He's only going to be 30 this season. He's in the mindset. He's in the mindset of, okay, he has the maturity to be on a championship contender and not be young and not be going out to all the parties, because he's going to understand what it takes. All right, I'm in a contending situation now. I'm going to be able to lock in. I'm going to be under a coach like Nick Nurse, a great player in Joel Embiid, and a up-and-coming rising star, Tyrese Maxey. He's old enough to where he can still mentor Tyrese Maxey. He's on the same level of thinking with Joel Embiid. He's also there. He's able to be a leader on that team as well. That could be their third star. Like I said, shot creator, play initiator, able to work off ball. I would love Zach LaVine in the Sixers uniform. Everybody's worried about the contract. I don't care about the contract because he's kind of on the same timeline as Tyrese Maxey. So some downsides to it. Like, he is injury prone. I do believe that he's injury prone as well. But like I said, he's younger. He's on the younger side as far as as opposed to Paul George and Jimmy Butler. I'm comfortable with the contract, him being injury prone. So what if he is too much, then you're able, if the injury stuff is too much, then you still have the ability to trade him and get more assets back. You would have to give out some assets. I mean, you would have to give away some assets in acquiring Zach LaVine, but I don't have a problem with that just because I think he's that much better of a player and younger, or an option. I don't want to say player, an option than Jimmy Butler and Paul George, simply because of his age and his ability to play off ball and do everything and be a seamless fit next to Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid. So yes, I'm completely on board with a Zach LaVine trade. And number one, I know a lot of people aren't going to like it. They don't think that it's possible. So they're just complete out on it. But I think it's more possible than what people are giving it credit for. And that is being able to sign LeBron James. Now, we all saw that the Sixers have been in touch with Rich Paul and LeBron James as far as trying to acquire him. He has not announced that he will be a free agent or if he's going to decline his player option or not. But Rich Paul pretty much came out and said that LeBron is a free agent. We don't know how true that is until he, actually officially declines his player option. But the possibility of him coming to Philadelphia, I think it's higher than what a lot of people are putting it on. I would give it about a 30%. I've talked about it previously. Probably about a 30% chance of coming here, leaving LA. He'll probably leave his family in LA. He will come here. I think Bron has like a 2-year window to win a championship. I think the Sixers are one of the only contending teams that he can go to where he can say, okay, he can look at the situation, he can look at the roster that they're going to construct around him, Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey, and say, okay, this is one of my last shots to actually go out there, contend, and win a championship. I do think that the Sixers are one of the only teams that are able to actually pay him as well as far as the amount of money he will want in an extension. And I think he fits the timeline because I do think that the Sixers only have about a year or two to actually truly compete and try to contend to win a championship. I think that matches up perfectly with LeBron. He'll be 41 by the time that second year comes around. If they aren't able to do it, I do think that it'll be probably time to blow it up. He's old enough to mentor Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. He's a mentor of clutch. I haven't even gotten into the play style. He's a shot creator, play initiator, plays defense, does everything you want as far as assists, rebounds, does all of that stuff. Smart, is able to, like I said, mentor Tyrese Maxey, get him in the right spots. He's also able to bring that championship caliber mind to where he knows what you need to do in order to win a championship. And now you also have a leader, and he's one of the top 2 best basketball players ever. So I don't think you can look at that and say, I don't want him on this team. I think that he fits the timeline perfectly, and he's actually my number one option that the Sixers should go after. They should exhaust every option they have to try to acquire LeBron James if this is the direction that they want to go in, and they want to maximize Joel Embiid's prime years, because like I said, I do think he only has about a year or two left before we really have to start getting concerned about the knee or if the Sixers window actually closes. So yes, number one, LeBron James. I'm all for it. So those are my top 5 players that the Sixers have been connected to and that they should target. Try to rank them from worst to best. So Brandon Ingram, Jimmy Butler, Paul George, Zach LaVine, LeBron James. Like I said, number one option, LeBron James. Worst option will be Brandon Ingram. So if you did like the video, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. It supports me. And make sure you are tapped in on all social channels. Link will be in the description below. If you want to be linked to more videos, they will be on here somewhere. I appreciate y'all. I'm out.